My name is Emily Carter, and I grew up believing that life was simple, predictable, even. Wake up, go to college, part-time job in the evenings, study a little, and sleep. That was it. I never considered myself the kind of girl who would end up at the center of something strange. I never believed in ghosts, spirits, or anything supernatural. I always thought those were stories people created when they had too much time and too little logic. But everything changed the night I moved into my new apartment. Moving out for the first time felt exciting. It was a small one-bedroom space just outside the city, nothing fancy, but it was mine. I remember walking in with my last box, breathing in that strange mixture of dust and fresh paint, and thinking, this is the start of my real life. The setting sun lit the living room in warm orange tones, and everything looked peaceful. Completely normal. I set up my bed, arranged my tiny bookshelf, and placed a little LED lamp beside the couch. By the time I finished everything, it was close to midnight. I was exhausted, but also proud. I made myself a cup of instant noodles, sat on the floor, and scrolled through my phone before finally deciding to sleep. My first night should have been calm. But it wasn't. Around 2:13 a.m., I woke up to the sound of something shifting in the living room. It wasn't loud, just a subtle scrape, like someone dragging fabric or brushing against the wall. At first, I assumed it was just the building settling. Old buildings do that. But when I opened my eyes, the room felt unusually cold. Not slightly cool, cold star. I pulled the blanket closer and checked my phone. No messages. No notifications. Just the time glowing quietly in the darkness. I told myself I was overthinking and tried to sleep again. But 15 minutes later, I heard it. Footsteps. Soft. Slow. As if someone was walking barefoot on the wooden floor outside my bedroom. I froze. I didn't even dare breathe. My eyes stared at the half-open bedroom door, waiting to see something. Anything. But nothing happened. After 30 seconds of silence, I gathered all my courage, climbed out of bed, and walked toward the door. My legs felt stiff, almost shaky. I pushed the door open and peeked into the living room. Empty. Just my boxes stacked in the corner and the faint glow of streetlights sneaking through the blinds. No intruder. No shadow. No sign of movement. I told myself, Emily, you're tired. You're imagining things, So I went back to bed. The next morning, sunlight made everything look normal again. Coffee, laundry, checking emails, and yet the memory of the footsteps sat in the back of my mind like a weight I couldn't shake off. That evening, I invited my best friend, Hannah, to come over and help me unpack the rest. She laughed when I told her about the footsteps. Girl, you need sleep. That's it, she said while assembling a small shelf. Maybe she was right. Maybe it was stress. New environment. New responsibilities. By 10 p.m., Hannah left, and the apartment felt quiet again. Too quiet. I put on some soft music and tried to focus on editing a college assignment. Everything was fine until the song suddenly paused on its own. Not skipped, paused. As if someone pressed the button. I frowned, picked up my phone, and tapped play again. And then I heard it. A whisper. Very soft. Almost like someone calling my name. Emily. I turned around so fast my neck cracked. My heart hammered against my ribs. But again, no one was there. I muttered to myself, okay, calm down. You're just stressed. But deep inside, I knew something wasn't right. That night, I slept with the bedroom light on. Around 3 a.m., the coldness returned. Familiar. Heavy. It pressed into the room like fog rolling in. My blanket did almost nothing to warm me. The silence grew so sharp that even my own breath sounded too loud. And then the footsteps started again. This time, closer. Not in the living room, outside my bedroom door. Slow. Careful. Deliberate. My entire body froze. I felt my pulse in my ears. The footsteps stopped exactly at the doorway, right where the faint light hit the floor. But there was nothing there. Just the empty hallway. I whispered into the darkness, "Who's there?" The moment the words left my mouth, I regretted them. The air seemed to tighten. And then, very faintly, I heard breathing. Slow. Shallow. Not mine. That was the first moment I truly felt afraid. The sound faded after a minute, and I sat there, hugging my knees, unable to move until sunrise. Next morning, I called Hannah again. She tried to reassure me. "Maybe you have a sleep disorder," she said. "Or maybe you're half dreaming." But I wasn't dreaming. I was fully awake. Over the next few days, the activity increased. Lights flickering. My keys moving from the table to the counter without me touching them. A cupboard opening on its own. And every night, those footsteps. Always at the same time. And always stopping right outside my bedroom door. One evening, I finally decided to record everything. I placed my phone on the shelf and hit the voice recorder before going to sleep. I wanted proof, anything I could use to convince myself I wasn't losing my mind. When I woke up the next morning, I hesitated for almost an hour before playing the audio. At first, it was just silence. Then my breathing. Then the faint humming of traffic outside. And then the footsteps. Clear. Slow. Rhythmic. But that wasn't the worst part. After the footsteps stopped, there was a voice. A whisper so soft I had to replay it 6 times. A woman's voice. Right next to the recorder. And she said, "You moved into my home." And that's when I realized. This wasn't my apartment anymore. It never was. The voice behind my door. I didn't sleep much after listening to that recording. The woman's whisper kept looping in my mind, each replay leaving a cold sting at the back of my neck. Asterisk, "You moved into my home." Asterisk. Her voice wasn't angry. It wasn't loud. It wasn't even threatening. It sounded sad. Soft. Almost pleading. But sadness didn't make it any less terrifying. All morning, I walked around the apartment with the recorder still playing in my mind. I checked every corner, behind the curtains, under the couch, inside the closet, as if expecting some hidden intruder to jump out. But there was nothing. No sign of another person ever living here. Still, the voice was real. The recording was real. And that meant someone, or something, was here with me. I knew I had to tell someone. But who would believe me? Hannah already thought I was imagining things. My mom would freak out and ask me to move back home immediately. And I didn't want to give up after just 1 week of living alone. I needed answers, not escape. So I went to the apartment manager. His name was Mr. Blake, an older man with tired eyes and a habit of chewing on the end of his pen. I walked into the office and sat down, trying to look calm even though my hands were trembling slightly. He pushed his glasses up and asked, "Everything okay, Miss Carter?" I hesitated, then said, "Did someone live in my unit before I moved in?" He paused. It wasn't a normal pause. He froze for 2 whole seconds, staring at me as if I'd said the wrong thing. Then he cleared his throat and forced a weak smile. "Oh, yes. Just the previous tenant. Elderly woman. Quiet. Kept to herself. What was her name?" Another pause. "Margaret," he finally said. I waited for him to continue, but he didn't. "Can I ask what happened to her?" He looked at the desk instead of me. "She passed away." The room felt colder. "How?" I whispered. He sighed and rubbed his forehead. "She lived alone. Apparently fell one night." "No. One found her for a while." My stomach twisted. "Was it in my unit?" He nodded once. "Barely." "And was it in the bedroom?" I asked, my voice smaller than I expected. No. In the living room, he said quickly, too quickly. Something about his tone felt off. Like he knew more than he was willing to say. I left the office feeling even more unsettled than before. If the old woman, Margaret, died in my apartment, was the voice on my recorder her? But the whisper didn't sound old. It sounded young. Gentle. Nothing like what I imagined an elderly woman would sound like. Back in the apartment, I sat on the couch and stared at the wall for what felt like an hour. Everything looked normal, my books, my coffee mug, my shoes by the door. But the air felt wrong. Heavy. Like the room was holding its breath. I took a deep breath myself and said out loud, if someone is here. I just want to understand. The silence that followed was so thick I felt it press against my ears. A few hours passed. Nothing happened. No footsteps. No whisper. Nothing moving on its own. Part of me wondered if saying something out loud made the presence retreat. Or maybe it was listening, waiting. That night, I turned on a small nightlight and climbed into bed early. I was exhausted, mentally and physically. But the moment I closed my eyes, the coldness returned. It crept slowly, starting from the corner of the room, spreading across the walls like invisible frost. I pulled the blanket tighter, my breath becoming shallow. And then I heard it. A sigh. A woman's sigh. Right next to my ear. I panicked and sat up instantly. My heart felt like it jumped into my throat. I scanned the room with wild eyes, nothing. Absolutely nothing. But I wasn't imagining it. The sigh was real. It was soft, warm, human. I grabbed my phone again and turned on the voice recorder. Please, just tell me what you want. Silence. Then the bedroom light flickered. Once. Twice. Then steadied. I swallowed hard. If you can hear me, can you give me a sign? The night answered with a slow creaking sound coming from the living room. It wasn't footsteps this time, it was the distinct, unmistakable sound of the front door moving. Not opening. Just shifting slightly, as if someone had pressed their hand against it. I stepped out of the bed, legs trembling, and walked toward the hallway. The closer I got, the colder it felt. When I reached the living room, the air was freezing. I could see my breath. The front door was half an inch open. I stared at it, barely breathing. I knew I had locked it. I always locked it. I checked it twice every night. With trembling fingers, I pushed it shut again and turned the lock. Then I backed away slowly, not taking my eyes off it. For a long time, nothing happened. And then, very gently. 3 knocks. Not loud. Not violent. Just soft, careful taps. As if someone didn't want to scare me. As if someone only wanted attention. I whispered, "Who? Are you?" My voice cracked, and I hated how weak it sounded. A faint voice answered from the other side of the door. Not old. Not angry. Just sad. I lived here. My skin prickled. It wasn't the voice from the recording. This one was clearer. Closer. Human sounding. Almost as if she was standing right on the other side. I took a step back. Are you Margaret? Silence. Then the voice replied. No. Not her. My breath caught in my throat. If she wasn't Margaret, then who? I heard the bedroom door behind me creak open on its own. Slowly. Deliberately. As if inviting me back inside. My chest tightened. Fear spread through me like wildfire. I turned, my heartbeat thundering in my ears. The bedroom door was open wide now. The darkness beyond it looked thicker than before, almost solid. And then I heard footsteps again. But this time, they weren't in the hallway. They were inside my bedroom. Walking slowly toward the doorway. Coming closer. I took several steps back until my back touched the living room wall. My voice trembled as I whispered. "Who is in there?" A pause. Then a soft, broken voice answered from the darkness of my bedroom. I couldn't leave. And with that, I realized this wasn't just a haunting. Someone was trapped here. And I was becoming a part of her story. She never left this room. I don't know how long I stood there, pressed against the wall, staring into the darkness of my bedroom doorway. My heartbeat was loud enough to drown out every other sound, yet somehow I still heard her. The footsteps. Slow. Bare. Soft. Dragging slightly, as if tired. They stopped right behind the doorframe, but I couldn't see anything. The hallway light didn't reach far enough inside. My fingers went numb. My voice barely escaped my throat. Why can't you leave?" The room stayed silent for a moment. Too silent. The kind that squeezes your lungs and forces you to breathe slow so you don't miss anything. Then the voice answered, fragile, weighted with grief. "Because he didn't let me." He. The word sliced through the air like a blade. A he? Someone else had lived here? Someone who did something to her. My knees almost buckled. I swallowed hard. Who is he?" She didn't answer directly. Instead, her voice drifted out again, trembling like she was remembering something painful. "He locked the door that night." A shiver ran down my spine so violently I had to grip the wall to steady myself. "What do you mean? Locked you in the bedroom? Why? Who was he? Your boyfriend? Husband?" A thin, quivering breath came from inside the room, like she was standing inches away from the doorway. I tried to run. My stomach dropped. She wasn't just a ghost. She was a victim. Before I could speak again, the bedroom light flickered weakly, once, twice, and then turned on by itself, casting a pale glow across the floor. And for the first time, I saw something. A faint shadow. Not solid. Not fully shaped. Just a silhouette of a woman, standing near the corner of the room. Her outline was soft, like smoke. She wasn't facing me, she was facing the wall, shoulders slightly hunched. I froze. My whole body wanted to run, but my feet refused to move. I whispered, "Did he hurt you?" The shadow stiffened. Then the W. His purr filled the room again, thin, trembling, almost breaking. He said, "If he couldn't have me, no one could." A sickening heaviness filled my chest. This wasn't an accident. This wasn't a fall. This wasn't some elderly woman dying alone, like the manager claimed. Someone else had lived here. Someone younger. Someone the manager never mentioned. I felt anger rise through the fear. I stepped forward, just 1 foot, but the air dropped in temperature instantly. My breath came out in a white cloud. "I want to help you," I said softly. "But I need to know your name. Please, tell me who you are." For a moment, I thought she wouldn't answer. Then she turned slightly, just her head. Not enough for me to see her face. Just enough to let me know she heard me. And she whispered. "Lena. Lena." Hearing her name felt like unlocking a door inside the apartment, one that had been sealed shut for too long. "What happened to you, Lena?" I asked gently. The shadow trembled. Her voice cracked in a way that made my eyes sting. "He didn't want me to leave. I tried. I tried so many times, ****. Her voice broke into a quiet sob, the kind that comes from someone who's cried for years. A million questions spun through my mind. Who was this man? Where did he go? Why didn't the apartment manager mention any of this? And why was Lena still here? I took a careful step closer. Where is he now? Silence. Then. Here. My blood ran cold. "No," I whispered without meaning to. "No, that's not possible." The air in the room tightened. The lights flickered violently. Lena's shadow shrank back, curling toward the wall like she was trying to hide. I heard it then, something different. Footsteps. Heavy. Slow. Male. But they didn't come from the bedroom. They came from the hallway behind me. My entire body locked. I turned just enough to see the dark hallway stretching toward the front door. The footsteps stopped. I whispered shakily, "Who's there?" No answer. The apartment fell into the kind of silence that makes every sound sharpen. Then, a deep exhale. Low. Close. Right behind my left shoulder. I spun around, but no one was there. Nothing, and yet the air was thick, like someone was standing inches away, breathing down my neck. I backed toward the bedroom again, but Lena's shadow retreated as if she didn't want me coming closer. "Lena," I whispered, is he dead too?" She didn't respond. Instead, the whisper came from right beside me, chilling and masculine. "No." My heart nearly stopped. I stumbled back, bumping into the doorframe. "What do you want from me?" The male voice answered calmly, almost casually. "You moved into my home." My legs went weak. The same sentence Lena said on the recording. But this time, the voice wasn't sad. It wasn't pleading. It was possessive. Dark. Heavy with something primal. I frantically flipped the bedroom light switch on and off again, panicking. I didn't know what else to do. The lights flickered but stayed on. Lena's shadow shrank further into the corner, trembling as if she was terrified, not of me, but of him. My breathing grew fast and uneven. "Please, leave me alone," the male voice whispered. She couldn't. I felt a cold touch brush across my arm, light but unmistakable. I jerked away instantly. "Don't touch me." The apartment answered with a low, rumbling creak from the ceiling, as if the building itself reacted. Lena finally spoke again, her voice breaking. "Run." The male whisper immediately followed. "Stay." Two voices. Two commands. Two different versions of the same tragedy. My vision blurred from panic. My hands shook uncontrollably. I forced myself to breathe. "Lena, tell me what he did to you." The shadow in the corner lifted her head slowly. Her voice came out faint, but painfully clear. "He never let me leave this room." My heart pounded against my ribs. "And now," she added, her voice cracking, "he won't let you leave either." The door that wouldn't let me leave. When Lena said those words, "He won't let you leave either," something inside me snapped. I ran. I didn't care where Lena's shadow was. I didn't care where the man's voice came from. I didn't care about the cold air or the flickering lights or the trembling in my legs. I just ran toward the front door. My fingers hit the lock, twisting it with so much force I almost tore it off. I yanked the handle and pulled. The door didn't open. I pulled again. Harder. Nothing. It felt like someone on the other side was holding it shut with both hands, pressing their full weight against it. "No, no, no, please." I cried, shaking the doorknob. I twisted it again and again until my palm ached, but the door stayed locked in place. Not jammed. Not stuck. Held. Something, or someone, was not letting me out. Behind me, the apartment creaked. A low, heavy groan. Like pressure. Like something old waking up. My throat tightened with raw panic. "Let me out." The hallway light began to flicker violently. Shadows danced against the walls, stretching unnaturally, twisting like they were reaching toward me. I stepped back from the door, my breath shaking. That's when I heard it. A soft, broken sob. Coming from behind me. I turned slowly. Lena's shadow was standing in the living room now, not in the corner of the bedroom, but right here, near me. Closer. Her shape was still blurry, but I could see the outline of her arms hugging herself tightly. Her voice trembled. He never let me leave. Tears stung my eyes. Lena, please, please help me. She shook her head in small, frightened jerks, like she was trapped in a memory she couldn't escape. I stepped toward her, desperate. Tell me how to get out. Tell me what he wants. She whispered. He wants you to stay. My stomach twisted painfully. Why? Her answer was a tiny breath. He gets lonely. I shook my head in disbelief. No, no. I'm not staying here. I'm not. A deep, low sigh echoed through the apartment. A man's sigh. Right behind my right ear. I screamed and stumbled forward, falling to my knees. Cold air whooshed past me, like someone walked inches from my body. Lena's shadow flickered, like a candle flame struggling against the wind. His voice whispered from the center of the room. You came alone. My skin crawled. I didn't know anyone died here. He cut me off. She didn't die. The room seemed to tilt. My breath hitched. What are you talking about? I managed to whisper. Lena's shadow tensed. The male voice spoke again, calm and chilling. She disappeared. I grabbed the wall to steady myself, dizzy with fear. But the manager said, he said someone fell. He lied. The word echoed through the apartment like thunder. Lena's shadow trembled violently. Her whisper faded in and out. He covered it up, he said she moved out. My heart slammed against my ribs. You're telling me the apartment manager hid this? He knew. The man's voice hummed low, almost amused. He remembers her. I swallowed hard. Who are you? What did you do to Lena? For the first time, the voice sounded irritated, a quiet, sharp edge under the whisper. She didn't listen. Lena let out a sound, a soft, pained gasp, like someone being pulled backward by invisible hands. Her shadow jerked toward the hallway, dragged by something I couldn't see. Lena. I cried. She tried to reach toward me, her hand nothing but a trembling blur of darkness. Run, she whispered again. Her voice strained, cracking under terror. But the door, it won't open. I cried. She answered through a sob. The window, the window. My head snapped toward the bedroom. The window. I ran, sprinted, ignoring the cold, ignoring the shaking floor, ignoring the feeling of something brushing past my shoulders as I crossed the hallway. I burst into the bedroom. The light flickered weakly overhead, barely holding on. The window sat on the far wall, half covered by the thin white curtains I'd hung 2 days ago. I grabbed the curtains and ripped them aside. I froze. The window was already unlocked. But the metal frame was bent inward, like someone had tried, desperately, violently, to pry it open from the inside. My hands shook as I pulled at the window. It didn't budge. I pushed harder, fingers slipping on the cold glass, but the frame held tight, like invisible hands pressed it shut from the outside. No, please. Please. I sobbed, slamming my palm against the glass. A reflection moved behind me. I turned slowly. A tall, dark silhouette stood in the doorway. Not Lena. Not a shadow. Something else. A shape that almost looked solid. My voice barely escaped my mouth. What do you want from me? The figure stepped closer, one slow step at a time. Not walking, gliding, as if his feet never touched the floor. When he spoke, his voice was right beside my ear again, though his figure stood across the room. You replaced her. My knees weakened. I'm not her. I'm not. Another whisper overlapped his, Lena's voice, trembling. He thinks you are. The male figure moved closer. I backed against the window, pressing myself into the cold glass, every muscle trembling uncontrollably. Please, I whispered, just let me go. The man's answer was simple. Soft. Final. You belong here now. The temperature dropped instantly. Frost crawled across the window beside my cheek. The lights exploded, popping loudly, sending the room into darkness. In the pitch black, Lena's voice cried out, desperate. "Don't let him touch you." My scream caught in my throat. Because I felt it. A hand. Cold. Large. Gripping my wrist in the dark. And pulling. The hand gripping my wrist was ice cold, not refrigerator cold, not winter air cold. Dead cold. I screamed and yanked my arm, but the grip tightened so violently that pain shot up to my shoulder. My knees buckled as the invisible force dragged me away from the window and into the center of the room. "Let go," I cried, kicking blindly at the darkness. But the darkness wasn't empty. It moved. It shifted. It swallowed the edges of the bedroom like thick smoke filling a room. The more I pulled back, the more the hand pulled forward, steady, unhurried, like it knew I wasn't going anywhere. Lena's voice burst through the blackness. "Emily, don't fight the dark, fight him." My heart pounded hard enough to hurt. "Where are you?" "I can't see anything," she answered from everywhere and nowhere. "He's not darkness, he just hides inside it." The grip on my wrist jerked harshly. I lost my balance and fell forward, hitting the wooden floor with enough force to knock the air out of my chest. My vision exploded in white spots. I gasped, trying to breathe. As the white spots faded, the darkness shifted just enough for me to see a tall shape looming above me, shoulders that were too broad, a head tilted in a strange, unnatural angle, and arms that stretched longer than they should. My blood turned to ice. "Please," I whispered, unable to move, "just let me go." The figure crouched slowly, its long limbs folding like broken branches. When it spoke, the voice didn't come from its head, it came from just behind my neck, right against my skin. "You replaced her." My pulse hammered so loudly that it drowned out the rest of my thoughts. "I'm not Lena. I'm not her. I didn't know." The voice interrupted me, sharp and cold. "You look like she did." My throat closed. I wanted to crawl away, but my body wouldn't respond. My limbs felt heavy, like the darkness itself had weight. I tried to lift my hand, nothing. Tried to bend my knees, nothing. Paralyzed. The figure lifted my wrist with ease, turning it palm up as if studying it. His fingers tightened, pressing into the bone. "She tried to leave," the voice murmured. "You all try to leave." A thin breath escaped me. What do you want?" His answer came instantly. "Company." A sick chill ran through my entire body. He didn't want revenge. He didn't want to hurt me for entering his space. He wanted me here. Forever. A violent rumble shook the floor under me, like something slamming into the wall from the inside. The darkness rippled, bending like liquid shadows. Lena screamed. "Fight him, Emily." I forced myself to turn my head toward her voice, even though I couldn't see her. "How?" "I can't move, I can't." "He paralyzes you when you panic," she cried. "You have to think of something else, anything else, calm yourself." "Calm myself? In this? In this nightmare?" The grip on my wrist tightened again, painfully, as if he understood what Lena was trying to tell me. "Don't listen to her. She was weak." My breath trembled. "Stop talking like she's not right here." Then Lena's shadow flickered into view, a blurry, trembling outline near the closet. She looked smaller than before, like she was fading. She whispered. "He won't let me stay solid." I swallowed hard. "Think of something else. Something calming." My mother's voice. A warm kitchen. Coffee brewing in the morning. My college dorm window with sunlight hitting my bed. I forced myself to breathe in as slow, even though the air tasted like cold metal. Slow. Slow. The paralysis loosened slightly. My fingers twitched. The figure's head snapped toward my hand. He growled, not loud, but deep enough to vibrate through the floor. No. His other hand reached toward my face. And suddenly, I moved. Not fully, not fast, but enough. I jerked my knee upward with all the strength I had. It slammed into something solid. The figure recoiled with a sharp, angry hiss as if I'd burned him. I scrambled backward, dragging myself across the floor toward the wall. My legs still felt half numb, but I forced them to move. Lena cried out. Go, Emily. Don't stop. The lights flickered, once, twice, and then burst into a harsh, blinding white. For the first time, I saw him clearly. A tall man. But not a living one. His skin was gray, stretched tight. His eyes were black hollows. His jaw hung slightly open, as if it had been broken and never healed. His spine curved unnaturally, forcing his shoulders to droop forward. And his arms. Too long. Too thin. Like they'd been pulled until the bones cracked. He leaned toward me, his voice now distorted, almost animalistic. Stay. I crawled to my feet, stumbling toward the hallway. He lunged, fast, impossibly fast. His hand brushed my ankle. Cold fire shot up my leg. But I threw myself into the hallway anyway, slamming my shoulder into the wall as I ran. The darkness chased me like a living thing, stretching after me, reaching. The apartment groaned violently, walls shuddering, floor trembling like something underneath was pushing upward. I reached the living room. And stopped dead. The front door was open. Just slightly. A few inches. Enough to see the hallway light outside. My heart leapt. Emily. Lena shouted. Go now. I sprinted, ignoring the scorching pain in my wrist. But the tall figure appeared in front of the door, not walking, not stepping, just appearing, snapping into place like reality glitched. He blocked the exit completely. His head tilted again, slow and unnatural, as he whispered. You are mine now. The door slammed shut behind him. Every light died. Darkness swallowed the apartment whole. And in that suffocating black, as my breathing shook violently, I heard Lena's final whisper. If he closes the door, he won't open it again. The next morning, I woke up with the kind of heaviness in my chest that only comes after reading something you were never supposed to read. A fear that doesn't scream, it just breathes quietly beside you. I lay still for a few minutes, staring at my ceiling, the soft winter sunlight crawling through the blinds like hesitant fingers. I didn't want to get up. I didn't even want to breathe. Because as soon as I moved, reality would hit me again. Ryan had been right. The stranger outside my door last night wasn't a random coincidence. Someone had been watching me. Following me. Tracking me. And I knew exactly who. Sophia. But the problem was, I had no proof. Just intuition. Just fear. Just patterns that only I seemed able to connect. When I finally rolled out of bed, I checked my phone. Dozens of messages, Ryan checking on me, my sister reminding me to eat, my boss asking for a report. But one message stopped me cold. A number I didn't recognize. Did you sleep well? No name. No emojis. Just 4 words. I swallowed hard. My throat felt like sandpaper. I typed back. Who is this? The message was instantly marked as read. 3 dots appeared. Then disappeared. Then appeared again. But no reply came. My entire body felt electrified, like I was standing too close to something dangerous. I needed air. I grabbed my sweater and walked outside. The cold wind slapped my cheeks, but somehow the sting felt grounding. My apartment complex seemed peaceful, almost innocent-looking. Kids' bicycles near the stairs. A cat sunbathing on a ledge. A delivery guy tapping on someone's door. Normal. Perfectly normal. But when I reached the mailbox area, something made my skin crawl. My mailbox was slightly open. Just slightly. I never leave it like that. Inside was a single white envelope, no stamp, no name, nothing written on it. Like someone had slipped it in by hand. My fingers trembled. And I opened it. Inside was a printed photo. Of me. Taken yesterday. Standing inside the coffee shop. Laughing at something Ryan had said. My breath turned to ice. Someone had been close enough to photograph me. Close enough to slip a letter into my mailbox. Close enough to know when I was home and when I wasn't. I turned around slowly, scanning the parking lot and apartment windows. Every open curtain, every dark window felt like an eye staring at me. I walked back inside, locked the door, twice, and leaned against it, inhaling deeply. I didn't want to panic. Not yet. I texted Ryan. We need to meet. Something happened. He replied instantly. My office. Come now. #### Ryan's office. Ryan's office wasn't huge, but it was warm, neat, and filled with soft light. He was pacing when I walked in, his hair messy like he'd been running his hands through it repeatedly. What happened? He asked the second I closed the door. I handed him the envelope. His jaw tightened as he looked at the photo. Emily, this isn't random anymore, he said softly. Someone is monitoring your movements. And they're getting bolder. I know, I whispered. He pulled a chair for me. Sit. He crouched in front of me, his face serious, controlled, but I could feel the tension under his calm. Emily, I need the truth. All of it. Is there anyone from your past who would stalk you? Follow you? Try to scare you? A single name screamed inside my head. Sophia. But saying it out loud felt like admitting something monstrous. I looked away. There's someone. But I don't know if. Who? Ryan's voice was gentle but firm. Her name is Sophia Hale. My ex-boyfriend's new girlfriend. He frowned. How long after your breakup did they start dating? 2 weeks. Ryan blinked slowly. That's not new, Emily. That's immediate. I know, I whispered. And she's reached out to you before? Yes, strange messages, weird comments online, small things I ignored. I thought she was just insecure. Or jealous. I didn't think it was dangerous. Ryan leaned back, processing everything. Then he said something I wasn't prepared for. Emily, I think she's obsessed with you. My breath caught. Obsessed? With me? Ryan continued, people like this, they study you. They imitate you. They want to replace you, but they also want to destroy you for existing. A cold chill ran down my spine. Is she capable of this? Ryan asked softly. I remembered Sophia's smile the day I first met her. Too wide. Too fixed. Too curious. The way she insisted on knowing everything about me. My job. My routines. My favorite coffee hop. The uncomfortable messages afterward. And the way she watched me that last time, like she was memorizing my face. Yes, I whispered. She's capable. Ryan exhaled slowly. Then we're not dealing with a prank. We're dealing with escalation. I swallowed hard. What do I do? He stood up and began pacing again. I'll help you, he said. But Emily, you need to listen to me. Starting today, you don't go anywhere alone. You don't walk home alone. And if she contacts you again, you tell me. Immediately. I nodded, my chest tight. Then Ryan surprised me, he placed a comforting hand on my shoulder. You're not alone in this. I promise. For the first time that day, my eyes burned with relief. #### that night. I spent the evening at my sister's place. I didn't want to be alone. We watched a movie, ate pasta, and pretended everything was fine. But when I finally drove home near midnight, the unease returned. The parking lot was quiet. My apartment windows dark. Everything looked normal, but I sensed something wrong the second I stepped inside. A faint smell. Perfume. Sweet. Floral. Not mine. My stomach dropped. Someone had been here. My hands shook as I walked into the living room. Everything looked untouched, except my framed childhood photo on the shelf had been moved. Just half an inch. Just enough to prove one thing. She was inside. And she wanted me to know. My phone buzzed. A new message. Same unknown number. Nice place. My blood froze. Before I could react, another message came. See you soon. I don't remember how long I stood there, staring at my phone. Seconds, minutes, everything blurred together until the only thing I could feel was the violent pounding of my heart. Nice place. See you soon. I kept rereading those words, hoping, begging, they would somehow change. But they didn't. They were real. Cold. Intentional. She had been inside my home. Sophia Hale had crossed the line between obsession and intrusion. My hands were trembling so badly I dropped my phone. It hit the carpet softly, but even that sound made me jump. I tried to steady my breathing, but the air felt too thick, like I was suffocating in my own living room. I needed help. My instincts, the ones I had ignored for too long, finally screamed loud enough to push me into action. I grabbed the phone and dialed Ryan. He picked up on the first ring. Emily? His voice was full of concern. Calm. Steady. Exactly what mine wasn't. She was here, I whispered. A beat of silence. Then, are you safe right now? No, the word fell out of me. I don't know. The apartment smells like perfume. My picture frame moved. And I got another message. Don't move, he said. I'm on my way. No, wait. But he had already hung up. I wrapped my arms around myself, sinking slowly to the edge of the couch. My shoulders felt stiff, my breath shaky. I didn't know if she was still in the building, or watching from somewhere. Every sound, the hum of the refrigerator, the rustle of the curtains, felt amplified. Wrong. Dangerous. I checked the locks again. Locked. Secure. Yet I felt anything but secure. Minutes crawled by. I stood motionless, listening for footsteps, breathing, anything. Then, 3 knocks on my door. Not loud. Not rushed. Just 3 slow, deliberate knocks. My heart stopped. My whole body froze in place. It wasn't Ryan. He would have called out my name. I didn't move. Didn't blink. 3 more knocks. Emily, Ryan's voice finally came, muffled but warm from the other side. It's me. My legs nearly gave out in relief. I unlocked the door quickly and let him in. He stepped inside, scanned the room like a trained investigator, then shut the door behind him. He turned to me. What happened exactly? He asked softly. I handed him my phone. He stared at the messages, his jaw tightening. She's inside your walls now, he said. This is no longer psychological intimidation. This is escalation. I sank onto the couch. What do I do, Ryan? I feel like she's everywhere. She wants you to feel that way, he replied, sitting beside me. Obsessive stalkers feed on control. The fear they create gives them power. Then she's winning, I whispered. He turned to me, eyes serious. Not if we get ahead of her. I swallowed. How? We need to gather evidence. Real evidence. Enough to file for a protection order, or more. I hugged my knees. I don't want to live like this. You won't. His voice softened. Not alone. That last part. Not alone. The kindness in his tone cracked something inside me. For the first time since this nightmare began, I felt a tiny flicker of hope. But it didn't last. Because suddenly, my phone buzzed again. A new message. Ryan grabbed it before I could. His face darkened as he read it. I leaned closer. What does it say? He hesitated. Just a moment. Then he showed me the screen. A picture. Not of my apartment. Not of me. Of Ryan. Standing outside my door. Taken just minutes ago. My breath caught in my throat. Sophia wasn't just watching me. She was watching him too. His voice had changed, no longer calm, no longer measured. It carried urgency now. Danger. She's nearby, I whispered. Yes, he said, taking a controlled breath. And she's confident. Too confident. That's not a good sign. I felt a rush of dizziness, like the room tilted. Ryan, what if she's still here? In the building? He stood up and scanned the apartment again. Pack a bag. 10 minutes. You're not staying here tonight. I can't run from her forever, I whispered. You're not running, he said, kneeling in front of me again. You're staying alive. His words settled over me like a hard truth. A truth I didn't want to accept. But I didn't argue. I packed quickly, clothes, charger, toiletries. My hands shook the entire time. Ryan stayed alert, checking windows, looking outside the blinds, listening for sounds. When I zipped the bag shut, he took it from me. Let's go. I nodded. But the moment I stepped outside my apartment, something made me stop cold. There, taped to my door, was a small lavender sticky note. Handwritten. 2 words. Too late. My stomach dropped. Ryan ripped it off the door and stuffed it into his pocket. Keep walking, he said. But as we reached the parking lot, I felt eyes on me. Sharp. Familiar. Female. I scanned the darkness, the parked cars, the silent stairwells. And then, I saw her. For half a second. A silhouette. A woman. Long hair. Standing behind a silver SUV. Watching me. The second she realized I'd spotted her, she stepped back into the shadows and vanished. My knees went weak. Ryan grabbed my arm. Emily, what did you see? Sophia, I whispered. She was here. I saw her. He didn't question it. Didn't doubt me. Get in the car. Now. I slid into the passenger seat with shaking hands. Ryan got behind the wheel and locked the doors immediately. As he pulled out of the parking lot, I kept my eyes on the rearview mirror. I didn't see her. But I felt her. Watching. Smiling. Waiting. Ryan drove faster than usual, but his hands stayed steady on the wheel, firm, controlled, focused. I, on the other hand, couldn't stop shaking. I kept looking out the window, half expecting Sophia to appear in every shadow, behind every passing car, at every traffic light. The city lights smeared past the glass like streaks of cold fire. I hugged my arms tightly around myself, but nothing warmed me. Not even the heater blasting at my feet. Finally, Ryan spoke. Did she look at you directly? Yes. My voice cracked. She wanted me to see her. He nodded grimly. That means she's not hiding anymore. She's showing dominance. Dominance? I whispered. Control, he clarified. Power. Obsessive stalkers escalate when they feel invisible. When they want to be feared. Well, I exhaled shakily, she's getting what she wants. Ryan glanced at me. You're scared. That's normal. But we're not letting her win. I stared ahead at the dark road. Ryan, what if she follows us? He shook his head. I checked. She's not behind us. Are you sure? Yes, he said firmly. I would know. But still. I couldn't shake the feeling that she was close. Too close. Like her breath was on the back of my neck. Ryan's safe house. 20 minutes later, we arrived at a quiet residential area, wide streets, dark trees, a long row of houses that looked almost identical. We pulled into the driveway of a small brick house with warm lights glowing softly from inside. This is my place, Ryan said. Well, my off-record place. I use it when I need privacy for cases. Privacy? I echoed. No cameras. No shared walls. No neighbors who will gossip. Then he added, or be threatened. He grabbed my bag and guided me inside. The house was small but neat, books, a couch, a sturdy wooden table, and the faint scent of coffee and cedar. It felt safe. Safer than any place had felt in weeks. Ryan locked the door behind us, then checked all the windows while I stood in the middle of tea. He living room, unsure what to do with my hands, or my fear. When he finished securing the place, he turned to me. You're safe here, Emily. For a moment, I believed him. Or maybe I just needed to believe someone. He pointed toward the guest room. You can sleep there. Bathroom's down the hall. Kitchen is stocked. I nodded slowly. Thank you. He gave a faint smile. You don't have to thank me. I'm not letting you face this alone. His words warmed something inside me, something fragile and human that had been suffocating under fear. Later that night, I tried to sleep. I tried so hard. But every time I closed my eyes, I saw Sophia's silhouette behind that SUV. Her stillness. Her stare. Her boldness. Around 2 a.m., I gave up and walked into the living room. Ryan was sitting on the couch, laptop open, papers spread out, maps, notes, screenshots. He looked up immediately. Can't sleep? I shook my head and sat across from him. What are you working on? I asked softly. Everything, he said. Her social media patterns, the timeline of when she contacted you, your routines. He hesitated, then added. And the psychological profile I'm building. My profile? I blinked. No, he said. Hers. I leaned closer. And what does it say? Ryan hesitated for a long moment. Then he spoke quietly. She's not just jealous. This isn't about your ex anymore. She's attached to you. I frowned. Attached? He nodded. Emotionally. Fixated. You're not a rival to her. You're an obsession. A symbol. Something she thinks she deserves to possess, control, or become. A chill ran through me. Become? I whispered. Emily, has she ever dressed like you? Copied your style? Your captions? Your photos? I thought back. The hairs on my arms stood up. Yes, I whispered. She did things like that at the beginning. I thought it was harmless. Ryan closed his laptop. That was the beginning of her identity fusion. She's dissolving the line between you and her. My stomach tightened. What does that even mean? It means, Ryan said gently, in her mind, you're not a separate person anymore. You're a role she wants to take over. My breath stopped. That's why she got close to your ex, he added. That's why she watched you, messaged you, followed you. She was studying you. Becoming you. And now, she wants to eliminate the version of you that still exists. A tremor went through my whole body. Ryan, my voice cracked. She's going to hurt me. She's escalating toward violence, he said carefully. I won't lie to you. Tears pricked my eyes. But he doesn't get to win, Ryan continued firmly. And she won't. Not while I'm here. There was silence. Warm. Heavy. But grounding. Then I whispered, "What now?" "Now," Ryan said, "I try something risky, but necessary." He stood up, walked to his bag, and pulled out a small black device. "What is that?" "A tracker." My stomach tightened. "You think she'll come here?" "I think she's already tracked you. Your phone, your routine, your building, maybe even your car." He crouched beside me. "If she tries to get close again, we'll know." I swallowed hard. "You're expecting her to show up." "I'm preparing for the possibility," he corrected. "Because once a stalker reveals themselves, they don't disappear." Those words unsettled me so deeply I felt my pulse in my fingertips. I followed him to the door where he placed the tracker beneath the porch light, hidden but effective. When he returned inside, he locked the door again. "You're safe tonight," he said. "I'm awake. I'll monitor everything." I wanted to argue. To say he needed sleep. But I was too tired, too broken, too grateful. I nodded and went back to the guest room. Before closing the door, I looked at him once more. "Ryan?" "Yes?" "Thank you for not giving up." He gave a soft, reassuring smile. "I'm not giving up on you, Emily. Not now. Not ever." I closed the door gently. For the first time in days, I felt a sliver of hope. But that hope shattered the moment I noticed something on the pillow. A small piece of paper. Lavender-colored. Handwritten. One word. "Found you." My scream caught in my throat. She had been here. Inside Ryan's safe house. And she wasn't done. Not even close.